Hello.
Hello.
And welcome to
Finish Big. Relocated.
We are listening our way through all of Big Finish.
That's right.
All the different ranges.
Everything.
Beneath, Doctor Who, Earth Search, Mind Warp.
Even these two bollocks stories we're talking about today.
Dalek Empire.
Oh yeah, we've done that.
All of those. But this time we are back to the Doctor Who main range. We're just doing two this time. A nice little
so
appetizer.
Excited to go back to the main range, you know.
Well, it hasn't been that long. We only did Axis of Insanity and all that like 1-2 episodes ago.
And we had 3 stories that were very good. And then we listened to these.
Yeah, well, shall I tell everyone what we're talking about today?
Please do.
And the 2 are The Roof of the World.
If this is my fate, then the gods have deserted me.
And Medicinal Purposes.
He saw blood. Oh, he saw blood.
Well, should we just talk about the first one? Let's just talk straight into them. Usually you have some kind of, prophetic notion to share with everyone, but we're going straight into them.
I have a notion. Hold the phones. Shock news. Doctor Who writer in prison when story is released.
Wait. Let me do the facts about it first.
Oh, okay, well, why did you say you wanted me to
No, because you talk about something else generally first. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, no. No, we'll make this quite a short one, shall we?
Okay, well, The Roof of the World was released in June 2004, written by Adrian Rigglesford, starring Peter Davison, Nicola Bryant, and Caroline Morris. The cast also features Alan Cox, William Franklin, and Edward D'Souza.
Edward D'Souza, that's a name
from
I recognise.
Mission to the Unknown.
Who did he play? Mark Corey?
Well, it's either there's only 2 people in Mission to the Unknown. He either played Mark Corey, the other guy, or a Varga Plant.
Is he the one at the end who goes, "This is a message for Earth Command"?
I think
he's
the main guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, his voice has changed a lot in the intervening years.
It's been like 50 years.
That's true, yeah. Usually it's you having to go at people getting old. Now it's me. Okay,
right.
Now may I do it?
Off you go.
Shock news, shock horror. Doctor Who writer in photograph scandal. Quick, get on the phone to the press. We need to get this man locked up.
So Adrian Rigglesfield is probably infamously
Rigglesford, not Field.
Is probably infamously known for being the writer of the aborted 30th anniversary story, The Dark Dimension. I think that's what everybody... So I don't know anything else that he's done. Oh, no, he did some factual books, didn't he? Didn't he do...
Yeah. He did. Yeah. There's one on the shelf over there.
Yeah, is it not the Harper and the
Harper
Hinchcliffe
Classics
ones?
and Hinchcliffe, yeah.
They were really great books, but I don't know him
as
as like a Doctor Who writer. He's not done any novels or anything. So
Can I say,
sort
though,
of new to Big Finish.
If people wish to explore the Dark Dimension more, don't go online and read a synopsis because it just won't give you the full experience. Head on over to Too Hot for TV, where Dylan Reese covers it and savages it with some... I mean, it sounds terrible.
It's great.
No, do you think it sounds good?
No, the podcast.
The podcast is great, but the Dark Dimension sounds terrible.
Yeah, it does.
Old Tom Baker.
We should all be thankful, shouldn't we?
Old Tom Baker and Ace, so of course Sophie Aldred's in there, with all the other doctors sort of popping up as sort of ghosts or something. It's very strange.
I don't know how much he was involved in actually writing it, or whoever else was involved.
It would have been directed by Graham Harper, so it probably would have come together quite well.
Anyway, we're not talking about... We're talking about Roof of the World.
Oh, that's right.
Roof of the World.
Roof of the World.
No, not Roof of the
That's
World.
another scandal. Jesus Christ. Well, can I talk about the scandal quickly first? Let's get it out of the way.
Everyone always talks about it. It's just...
Well,
old
no,
hat now. We don't need to talk about it.
Listen to this, right?
I don't care.
It says, the listeners care.
They don't, because every time you mention his name, this is what all Doctor Who people talk about.
But you don't know. What's the details of it?
Boring. He stole some photos. It got done for it. It's not, like, who cares?
Because there's no other Doctor Who writers in Finish Big we can say
I'm
went
sure
to prison.
there's Doctor Who writers have done worse.
Yeah, well, for some of their output, maybe they should have gone to prison. Anyway, I'll say this.
All right.
The Roof of the World was released in 2004, as you say, and a few days after release...
Of what? Him from prison?
Of this.
No. Oh.
Of the few days after Big Finish was be like, oh, fuck, this hasn't come out by this point. Richardson was convicted of stealing thousands of photographs from the Daily Mail and reselling them for personal profit. Now, the Daily Mail is such a hideous hate rag that I'm quite pleased that somebody was stealing those pictures, frankly, and making a bit of money out of it. However... there is also other things that was occurring. So can I just talk about that quickly?
Right, okay.
So the accuracy of Rigglesford's reference work has also been heavily disputed. He's accused of unsourced and previously unheard of quotes from William Hartnell, as well as the omission of an entire season from one of his Doctor Who reference works. Well, that's his choice. It's his book. If he wants to omit a season.
You've done worse than that on your hamsters. It's like, you've made up quotes, I'm sure, from William Hartnell.
On my hamsters? Excuse me? Later, a publication of the TV Times of a final interview with director Stanley Kubrick. Thank you. Brought Rigsford to the attention of Anthony Fruin, a friend of Kubrick's. Fruin's investigation uncovered that a supposed tape of the Kubrick interview did not exist. In the light of this and Fruin's expert doubts, TV Times ran an apology interview. And do you know how many photographs he stole? 56,000, and made an approximate £75,000 out of it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 75 million.
I
then
think
it would have been
that
worth
75 grand is probably more than he got for Roof of the World, right?
Yes.
I think we should call Adrian Wriggleford. He did his time. He's an entrepreneur.
You're making up quite. What about all the Peter Haining books that are completely wrong and inaccurate from all back then? It's not a bad crime.
Did he do a spell in prison?
And if you read a newspaper or a magazine, all those quotes are made up anyway. He was ahead of his time. I don't know why I'm defending. I don't know him or anything. I'm just saying it's not that bad. Let's talk about the story. I just have to say I hate the Daily Mail so much that I think actually he did us all a good turn. And I'm wondering if perhaps, as a sort of little side note, finish big, we should have our own sort of imaginary prison that we're going to create. And as the worst writers, the true crimes of Finish Big are done, we'll put them in the imaginary prison with Adrian Risford. What do you think? Adrian Risford, yeah.
So I think just very quickly, just please come with me now for a second. I'm putting Nicholas Briggs. I'm sorry.
Oh, I knew you was going to say that.
You're only going to have a small term, but you did write Sirens of Time, and that's how we're starting.
Yeah, not for Dalek Empire, but he's
no. Early release for Dalek Empire. But we are going to have to give you a spell of about 3 months for Sirens of Time. Okay. What's the other worst ones we've done? Do you think? The Rapture
or Necromantia?
Oh, Necromantia. Life. Sorry, you're going away for life. Anyone else? Anything else we've really hated?
Not so bad. No. Not prison wise.
Can we put Steve Cole in for that
Never.
One? No, one set in the snow.
What, Land of the Dead?
Yeah, very boring. All right, he's just getting a week. All right, and Steve, don't drop the soap.
Let's get on with Roof of the World now. Come on,
Right. But I will say this: from this point on, if you deliver a really truly terrible script or whatever, you're going in the prison with Adrian Risford. All right,
and he'll take your photo,
and he will take.
Right,
Roof of the World. To the Daily Mail, get some of that money back.
Roof of the World.
Yes.
Right. Nobody really talks about this one very much.
No, I think there's a reason
it's a really
for
good
that.
one because you have Eramen joins, I the Scorpion. We've got Church and the Crown. Everyone talks about Necromantia being terrible. And then we did Axis of Insanity last time, which again is another one.
Yeah.
So it's been a good run. And then this one, I remember this one not being great and not being interested in this at all. And it just being very dull and talky and boring. Listening to it again, though, it's not as bad as I thought it was. It's an Eramem centric story, which I think is a good idea.
There is actually a bit of background on this one. He was originally supposed to write an Eramem origin story, like pre-Eye of the Scorpion,
right? And
we were going to go into all of that, and they decided not to do that. So that's why he writes episode 2 here, where whatever this got. I'm not actually
it's an interesting structure. It's a really clever structure.
It's a
and
good
they're doing
structure,
something different because you have part 1, which is your typical part 1. Dr. Perry Eramem Lan. Doctor wants to go and play cricket somewhere. It's all very, in early 1900s sort of thing.
He likes to take him all to a cricket match. He likes to teach them all about cricket.
And then at the end of that episode, something happens to Eramem. She gets struck by lightning, or there's a storm, or something bad is happening. And then all of episode 2 is in Eramem's mind, in this cloud, in talking to this alien thing. And she sees her father, and there is a bit of exploration of her background.
We'll get there.
So there's no Dr. Perry in part 2, and then part 3 carries on, and it's the Doctor and Perry sort of mourning the death of Eramem because they've seen her struck by lightning and disappeared.
Doctor, I believe you wanted to say a few words.
Thank you. A few words. That's just the problem, though. How can you actually find the right ones to express what you think and feel when the last thing you ever expected them to do was to have to say goodbye. Erimem was all that she was and so much more. While she was traveling with me, with Perry. Let's just say that the speed of events always seemed to...
You'll never see the other sunsets. The different colored skies or the stars that reach beyond them. The doctor always said there are things we can't stop. Things we can't control. Trust him to forget to mention how much they can hurt you.
And then as sort of part 3 and part 4 gets a bit more traditional, it's a bit of a run around, a bit of padding, and then obviously she's not dead. And so I like that idea that you've got this whole second episode just for Erimem.
Is literally a game of two halves, I think.
Yeah.
I think the first episode is a continuation of all of the really great chemistry these regulars have got, right? It's just the three of them having fun. First Doctor, the fifth, I can't talk today. The fifth Doctor, Perry and Erimem, having great fun. And it's a really fun episode, and it ends on a dramatic high of this huge storm hitting and Erimem possibly dying. I think episode 2 is actually the strongest episode of all these episodes we're talking about today.
I think it's interesting in terms of the structure. I find it a bit boring, the running around in someone's mind.
I loved all of that.
Stuff. Is it real? Is it not? For a whole episode, and these are longer episodes now. Yeah. We're getting into that sort of part of Big Finish where they're not editing as much. They used to be quite tight, 25 minutes, and now they're sort of creeping to 35, almost 40.
More and more.
And I don't know why, because it's not actually really needed.
I'm wondering if, I know for a fact, because I know Gary Russell quite well now, name dropping and bouncing. And he did say at this point, he just had so much on his plate. Like, he was doing so much, and there were spin-offs coming in and all that. And he's overseeing all of this. Imagine if someone was overseeing all of Big Finish output now. It would lead, there would be no creative control at all. So I'm wondering if
what's happened.
he can't edit the scripts like he could in the first 50, because it was just the main range in the first 50. I'm wondering if that's what's happening. But I've got to say, I loved how Richardsford used that, because the idea is this force that is trying to possess Erimem, it's preying on all of her anxieties. So her anxieties about her father, her anxieties about how the Doctor and Perry think about her. So we have scenes with her father, with the Doctor and Perry, and Davison and Brian and whoever's playing her dad, they're all giving great sort of evil, sinister performances, I never cared about Erimem. She's a stupid bitch. She just always got in my way. The Doctor's like, oh, Perry, that stinky old savage from the Pharaoh's time. And all of that. But I thought the direction was great. It was doing that thing of like zooming from one dream sequence to another. But it really had pace to it, and it really had a lot of atmosphere to it. I thought we were on for an absolute fucking classic by the end of episode 2. Because by the end of 2, you've got, it's the Doctor, it's Perry, and it's her father, and they're in quick succession saying all these horrible things about her, and she's going, oh, the gods have deserted me. I agree to be possessed. And then the music cuts in, and I thought, my God, we're on for a winner. But then this is where the structure falls apart, because that's the dramatic high point of the story, and everything after this is a bit of a damp squib. And 3 is just the Doctor and Perry in the TARDIS sort of looking for Erimem, because the cliffhanger to 3 is Erimem coming back possessed. So we can't have her back until the end of 3. So it's just them hanging around.
Yeah, it does slow down.
It's so boring.
Yeah.
And then 4, it just ended.
It's just a bit of a run around, and it's...
Can I ask, what was the god? Was this supposed to be the great intelligence?
Some alien thing. No.
But do you think it was supposed to be?
It's supposed to. You think it's because it was set in Tibet?
It's set in Tibet. Wait. And it is something on the astral plane. It's the fucking great intelligence, right?
There's no mention of it in any of the notes or anything.
No, they probably couldn't. You know how Hazeman and Lincoln are.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, if we mention it on this, we'll probably be stewed. Adrian, we're coming to join you.
It would be nice if it was the intelligence, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, you don't really get to the bottom of it. It's just some elder god thing. There's always an elder god in all of these kind of stories.
And if you're Craig Hinton, you bring all the elder gods together in some great, apocalyptic battle.
No, but it wasn't so bad, actually.
The first half was great. The second half was very
to do
dull.
like a marathon of these, an Erimem marathon, in my mind, Necromantia, Roof of the World, immediately like, oh,
Cut
God, I've
out.
got to get through those.
Yeah.
But actually, no, I would
wouldn't
go
wanna
back
lose
to
that
this
second
one.
episode. You know
Yeah.
what, right?
And it's great for...
If this was the 60s,
Mm.
talking of the Great Intelligence, if this was the 60s, and the audio episodes were going missing, I would want episode 2 to be retained in the BBC archives, because it is a terrific episode, I thought. I mean,
but none of the other side characters in this, like Edward D'Souza from The Great Mission of the Unknown, just some old man, really.
no, but well played, I thought.
They're all well
and
played,
likeable,
but they're not...
really likeable.
I was concentrating more on the regulars, and
Yeah.
and I love
So
Caroline
script.
Morris. Weren't we going to say, where is Caroline Morris nowadays?
Yes. I went
was trying
looking
to-
for her
No,
on Facebook.
I went
right?
looking for her on Facebook.
No, I went looking for her because I thought I'm going to try and find her.
I tried
know
to
some of
find
these
her,
writers
actually.
that have written for her. Need Fountain's a friend of mine on Facebook and people like that. So I thought, all right, maybe they're, I'll just
Might be friends with Caroline
did a
Morris.
bit of
We just want to
mismarketing.
see how she...
Anyway, I found someone that looked a bit like her, but her name was Caroline Norris. So that wasn't her. So that was
me
where my
that did that,
investigation
actually.
came to an end.
I can't believe you're taking my story. I searched for Caroline Morris.
I can't believe.
And all I found was
Right.
Caroline Norris.
I can't believe, after all the grief I give my friends for Facebook stalking, that there I was trying to stalk Caroline Morris, bless her. Caroline, if you're listening...
Where are you? Have
If you
got an
listen to
Insta?
reviews 10, 20 years later of your old stories, please get in touch. Finish Big would love to interview you.
I just think she's great, and I'm really sad that she's not involved.
She's
with
got
Big
real
Finish.
personality. I mean,
Like-
we said this in the Hex episode in the Harvest.
Yeah.
The original companions, Evelyn, Hex, RMM, they just had something. In that first 100, they had a way of devising original companions. One that suited the Doctor. Great chemistry. 2, that if you bring someone else in, so you've got Ace and Hex, and you've got Perry and RMM, it just works like gangbusters. And 3, just great actors that you want to listen to. I really think, in a way that, I don't want to be too rude, but Bliss and, I don't know, who's this new Cass? Who are these people? I don't know. And they were only in it a couple of years ago.
Maybe she got remarried and she is Caroline Norris. Or maybe she was ashamed and upset that Nick Briggs sacked her and she's changed her name to Caroline Norris so Doctor Who people
You
don't find
think
her.
Caroline Morris married a man called Mr. Norris and changed her name to Caroline Norris?
She could be. There was the only picture on Facebook that looked a bit like what Caroline Morris might look
Well, I'm
like.
telling you now.
Was Caroline Norris.
If this is if it's a pseudonym,
She's in disguise,
If it's a
everyone.
pseudonym, she's only changed one letter. That's not much of an imagination, Anyway,
If there's anyone out there that knows Caroline Morris, we just want to know.
we're
right.
huge. Basically,
We
what we're
are.
saying in a very rude way is we're huge fans.
We do love Caroline
Yeah.
Morris.
Caroline Morris, not Norris.
Yes. Oh, can I just say as well? I totally forgot. In the booklets around this time, they started
what a boring
to do.
cover.
No.
Can you just put that up again?
What is it?
What a boring cover that is. You can't even see what's on it. I mean, it just looks like a load of clouds.
Well, the whole point of the story is a big, huge cloud thing that
No, I'm
gets them.
sorry. You wait. You hold up the second cover we're going to do today.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So in the booklet, they started to do a who's who, and I think they started around the Harvest or the Axis.
Is the
So
picture
you've
Caroline
got-
Morris?
No,
No.
it's Eramem. So it says a little bit about the characters, which is really interesting. So Eramem, upon the death of her father, Eramem Eramem for short, became pharaoh of ancient Egypt. Being young and female hardly endeared her to her immediate subjects, and soon plots against her were afoot. It was during an attempt on her life that she met the Doctor and Perry, who were instrumental in saving her. Before her coronation, the officials decided upon a different male pharaoh. A
different male.
A different male pharaoh.
God.
A different male pharaoh. A decision that did not completely disappoint Eramem, who then joined the Doctor and Perry on their travels. And you got like Perry as well. Perpigillian Brown has been traveling with the Doctor for a while now. Their relationship can be fractious, but it's generally lighthearted and friendly. A keen botanist, resourceful and compassionate, Perry also has an edgy side, a wry sense of humor, and can infuriate her traveling companion.
An edgy size.
Lately, the two have been joined by their travels by Eramem, with whom Perry has immediately bonded. Slightly older than the former Egyptian pharaoh, Perry has taken it upon herself to play the older sister.
Why are you reading out like a terrible game show? Alex?
Yes, that's Perry's voice.
I feel as if the grand
Anyway,
cash prize of £100,000.
So there's a picture of Eramem as well. That's what Eramem looks like.
Very nice.
Perry.
She does look nice. I got to say, yeah, I didn't think this was terrible. I think I preferred this to when I did back in the day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's gone up.
The first half is very good indeed. I feel like he just lost his way in the second half. I perhaps would have liked to have seen a second script.
But he didn't write anything else.
Well, we had a lot of time on his hands. He could have done.
So, yeah, it's not that bad. Give it another listen, everybody.
I just think these regulars really light up the stories.
Yeah.
My one real issue is consequences here, because don't find me on this, because either Eramem is beaten or raped in Necromantia, one or the other, and she's possessed in this story, and it's a bit like the Sarah Jane syndrome. Why on earth would you continue going? Like, this is supposed to be a joyful exploration of the universe, and you're being raped and beaten and possessed. Like, you come to a point where you go, do you know what, Doctor? I think I've had enough. Drop me off on Peloton. I'll be all right. I'll hang out with Alpha Centauri. What's her name? Robert Schumer's wife.
Yzan Churchman?
No, she's not in
it.
No,
Jane
Goddard.
Jane Goddard.
Jane
Sorry.
Goddard of the Moment.
That was the actual Alpha Centauri.
Yeah, that's right.
Robert Schumer's wife.
Eramem would be absolutely fine hanging out with Jane Goddard at Peloton and not being beaten, raped, or possessed. Wow. I hope she has a better time next time. Where are we going with them next? Just to ask.
What is next?
Is it Council Nicaea?
Oh, it might be around that time.
No,
maybe.
She has a terrible time in that.
I can't remember.
Hello, and Perry.
Oh no, unless it's Three's a Crowd or something like that.
I think she gets impregnated with eggs in that one.
I think there's a little while. And anyway, we'll find out, won't we?
Eramem, all I want to say is, after the horrific affairs you've been having, and I don't mean affairs in sleeping with people, please, I hope you have a better time in the future.
Right, well, let's go on to the next one then.
Medicinal.
Medicinal.
No one's about when the doctor's about.
Oh, and by the way, I've just thought as well, all the, the first 100 and that are available at bigfinish.com on download. They used to be $2.99 and now they're $3.99, but that's inflation for you.
How many of those $3.99 Big Finish releases Adrian Ridgelford could have bought with 75 grand? A lot. Oh my God.
Anyway.
He could have bought all the copies and then, as a charitable act, because obviously he took that money, in an uncharitable way, and sent out copies of Medicinal Purposes to all Doctor Who fans.
Maybe.
I just want to keep talking about
it. Anyway, so Medicinal Purposes were released in August 2004, starring Colin Baker.
August? This doesn't seem like a summer release, does it?
I think it does. Colin Baker and Maggie Stables as Evelyn. This was written by Robert Ross.
No, Rupert Ross.
Robert Ross.
Isn't it Rupert Ross?
No, it's Robert Ross.
Oh, Robert Ross.
And the cast features Leslie Phillips.
Oh my God. How has Leslie Phillips never been in Doctor Who before?
David Tennant.
I mean, he will be in Doctor Who again.
And Glenna Morrison.
Is that Mary?
Yeah.
Oh, she was great.
Yeah. Another one in my list of ones that I probably tried out at the time, got a bit bored and gave up on. It's not a classic in my mind.
How did you find it this time?
Going back into this again, really enjoyed it this time round. I got it this time.
Okay, because I didn't have the reverse. I have a lot of issues with this. I think there's far more good stuff in Medicinal Purposes than Roof of the World. All the elements are there. I just think there's a better version of this story out there somewhere.
Okay, so this is historical. Burke and Hare were in Scotland, and it's the body snatchers and all that kind of stuff,
isn't it? This is perfect.
Well, perfect, and also for Colin Baker.
Can we talk about that, please? Huge controversy when this came out.
Really?
I remember. I know on the forums. Honestly, people were going. Nowadays on the forums, you get 5 messages per release, and 4 of them are people saying, "Yeah, but what stories is it set between?" Back in the day, there used to be huge discourse, and people were appalled that Colin Baker's Doctor was going, I admire Burke and Hare because they pushed on medical science by murdering these women and providing the corpses for the doctors.
Maybe only the 6th Doctor could get away with saying that.
And the 12th?
But also, I think that's the alien Doctor coming out. That's like Tom Baker not.
Yeah.
That is the same thing, and it makes sense because that's what the Doctor sees the Earth and history and everything as that. It's got its place there. It's got its purpose. Its medicinal purpose, you might say.
God.
I was actually surprised that Evelyn didn't.
The script is wittier than you.
I was surprised that Evelyn, being an historian, 1, didn't really know the story of Burke and Hare, and 2, she didn't seem really bothered about it in the same way. Do you know what I mean?
Mad.
In
that scene was going to him, I can't believe you're taking
Yes,
this
I know.
stance.
Yes, but in terms of the historical context, usually, when she sees Darwin or Queen Mary, she's, wow, we're back in history. But she doesn't have that wonder. She's more written like your typical. That
Remember,
could have been Perry or
this
somebody
is
else.
Post her arc where she has learned that people die, and sometimes people die for a reason. For things happen, and so I think she is in that mindset now of like, okay, this is really sad. What she's appalled by is that the doctor's going, I want to go and meet Burke and Hare and shake their hands and say congratulations for murdering those women. You really needed her there for those scenes. Otherwise, the story does seem to be the doctor celebrating murder on a terrible scale, like in the gutter murder of women and young boys. So I think Evelyn is absolutely vital, and she's really the only companion on audio that can stand up to him in this way and say, no, Doctor, what you're saying is appalling. And like, he doesn't back down, does he? She goes, it's horrific. And he goes, inevitably. She goes, and they're murderers, indubitably. But maybe not yet.
Oh, it's dark, my gent. Oh, it's you two. A cold night for a stroll, isn't it? Well, yes, it is. Would you care for an apple or two, Mr. Burke? Anything for you, Billy Hare?
A firm no on both counts, woman. Thank you.
Ah, you two are such gentlemen. It must be a long time since anyone said that about you two.
Quite a long time, I think.
Well, I must be going now, lads. Good night to you both.
I don't think so.
You see, we need you.
You want to do business at this hour?
That could be one way of putting it. Yes.
Because we've got Mary and Jamie, the characters, which are well known in the real life story of Burke and Hare, I believe. So they obviously, they're meeting them, and he knows that they're going to die. They should be dying.
Can I compliment the cast on this? Because I just think everybody is superb.
Oh, yeah.
David Tennant has got an almost impossible task.
He's daft Jamie. So
yeah. And in a way that could be so hideously problematic.
And completely different to Dalek Empire. His range on audio is brilliant.
And he is playing it in a slow drawl, like he has got learning difficulties.
But he's playing it as a lovable character, though.
But it's not like Tommy in Planet of the Spiders, which is a similar sort of character, right? Somebody that's got learning difficulties. He's really likable. Like, he should be kind of annoying because he's always very excited about going off with the Doctor and things like that. But because the Doctor and Evelyn are so kind to him throughout the entire story, until the end, but we will get there. Yeah, I really thought the chemistry with Tennant, Maggie Stables, and Colin Baker was just perfect. But then I thought the chemistry between Mary and the Doctor was great as well. She meets him in the sewers and thinks the Doctor's a wealthy gentleman down there to get a suck job in the sewer. And she goes, oh, hello, sir. Like that, Oh, unzip your trousers. And the Doctor's going, oh, dear, oh, no. And then Evelyn comes out of the shadows.
It's not that bad. If you haven't heard it, he's over-exaggerating
Evelyn comes out of the shadows and goes, well, I shan't interrupt you flirting with the local good time girl.
If there was a big Finnish script that asked Colin Baker to unzip his trousers, I think he'd ask them to edit it out.
No,
I don't think it happened.
That's the revelation of the Daleks book.
And what happened to that?
He takes his trousers off at the end of it. I'm not kidding you. Anyway, no, but that is what's happening, isn't it? She thinks he's there for sex. And he's like, oh dear.
And it's a bit of a pseudo-historical because we've got this time traveller character played by Leslie Phillips, who I totally forgot because he does come back later on, doesn't he, in Assassination Games?
Assassinating in the Limelight.
Oh, whatever. Not Assassination Games. That's the other one. That's the seventh Doctor one.
Yeah. So many now. It's easy to mistake them.
I remember this being a big thing that he was in A Big Finish at the time. Like a great cast.
This is probably, in terms of old-time character actors, this is probably the most prestige casting they've done yet. It's a bit of a problem because they can't give Dr. Knox his comeuppance at the end because Gary Russell's watching this being recorded and going, yeah, he's coming back. So they kind of have him just get away at the end of the story because, fuck me, Leslie Phillips and Colin Baker in a scene together. I mean, there is no studio capable of containing that amount of ham as those two actors coming together, you know, Colin Baker going, "You outrageous, you know, buffoon." And he's going, "Oh, doctor, please, really?" Like, it is just gold. The two of them together. And the script, it is too long and it holds off bringing them together until episode 3. And you can almost feel the plot pausing because it wants to wait to bring them together.
Especially part 2.
Part 2 was
because
just all
it sets out part 1, then part 2, you're waiting for that. And then you think, it's just treading water a lot in part 2.
One's great. One, because it just sets up the atmosphere.
It sets out, yeah.
And 2, because it has the whole moral dilemma of the Dr. Evelyn debate. Yeah, you're right. 2 is...
Because this is where they start, again, there's quite long sort of TARDIS scenes before, lots of chat, and I think this is why.
Don't we like that, though?
We do.
It's the Doctor and Evelyn.
But then when it slows the story right down, because again, we're 35-minute, 40-minute episodes, and they just get longer from here. And we just, again, it's very Colin Baker era. It takes a long time for him to get into the story because they're off talking. Yeah.
Well, if there was a 30-minute story, right, back in the day, of just the Doctor and Evelyn having afternoon tea,
yeah, I know,
some beautiful summer garden,
I know,
and just talking about their day, yeah? Would you listen to that and love it?
Yeah.
Well, then why do you object to it being in the TARDIS?
I'm not.
Come along now. I mean, there's not many actors that I could listen to literally noshing up the scenery completely by themselves in the way that Leslie Phillips is in this story. He gets whole scenes where he's just talking to himself and it's fucking delirious, isn't it? I mean, he just sounds like he has just had an orgasm in every scene. Doctor. In that very Leslie Phillips sort of plummy way of his. But funny, he's perfect for this role, isn't he?
He's a great original Big Finish, villain as well.
Yeah, I always think it's a shame that, is it Robert Ross or Rupert?
Robert
got to write his only 2 stories. Even though I quite like both of them, I think this is someone who had legs to run, you know, and we could have seen a lot of, I know I keep saying it, but imagine a Robert Shearman, Dr. Knox story. But what's really great is his motive is, it turns out to be profit, as is often the case with Doctor Who villains, money or power. And he's got a 2-pronged scheme going on, hasn't he? Number 1 is the Burke and Hare experience. So he's got these sort of people in a bubble watching him go back in time and play out the Burke and Hare murders of all these women and Darth Jamie over and over again, and he's creaming off the profits from that. And then his other scheme is there's a alien planet with a dying race of people, and he is getting the bodies and doing science on the bodies in order to find out what the cure is, and he's creaming money off them as well. So it's a bit confusing because there's 2. I kind of wish there'd only been 1. I think the Burke and Hare experience one is the better one to go with. The whole alien planet thing.
Maybe there's just not enough plot for 4 episodes though of that.
Well, there isn't, no, because there's long scenes of people just standing around talking. But I've got to say, it's got atmosphere, this.
Oh, absolutely.
Coming from the bloody rafters, isn't it? Scenes in graveyards, scenes in sewers. You know, it's dirty in the pub.
You can really visualise it, yeah.
Sticky floors, and it's got a great score as well, isn't it? There's like someone playing a harp or something like that. There's a string instrument in there that's really effective. And I thought Burke and Hare were quite interesting in that they're clearly monsters in episode 1 and 2. And then come the end, they're sort of victims because he is exploiting them for entertainment purposes. And so, yeah, that was quite interesting how they went from that to that.
The early title for this was The Knife's Edge, according to the booklet.
Oh, that's a good
That was
title.
a good title.
Mind you, medicinal purposes.
That's a brilliant title as well.
Yeah.
Very memorable. I was just looking in the booklet of what it says about Evelyn Smythe.
Oh, please.
Who's who?
Can you say it?
Smythe.
Can you do it in Evelyn's voice?
I'll give it a try.
Considering her childhood.
Yeah, that's
a bit like
that's
that,
what you have to say, isn't it? When she first encountered the Doctor, Evelyn Smythe was a history lecturer at Sheffield's Hallam University. He took her on an adventure involving her ancestors in the 16th century, which led to Evelyn joining the Doctor in his travels. Unbeknownst to him, Evelyn was resisting efforts by the university administration to retire her due to a possibly fatal heart condition. So she took the opportunity to explore both history and the wider universe with relish. Adventures on Cornwall, on the Doctor's home planet, and with Charles Darwin on the Galapagos Islands followed. And now the two friends continue to voyage onwards, fellow travellers, into the unknown.
Oh, do you know, I think if I want to do more Evelyn stories, I should contact you. Or maybe it should be me, you know. Look in the gutter, Doctor. I have to say, I really liked how they played their relationship in this, because I think things had got a bit soft at the end of Arrangements for War, and I thought, oh, okay, we're all going to be sort of gooey-eyed going forward. And they're a bit fractious in this, aren't they? Like, she's a bit crabby in episode 1, but I like that, because if you give Colin Baker's Doctor an inch, it'll take a mile, you know? He's a prick. So you have to keep beating him down. I thought, oh, look at how he treated Perry, for God's sakes, you know? So I'd quite like, they're funny together, but it's a bit edgy. And I really like that. And yet you can feel why they absolutely love each other as well. And like I said, there's all that warmth with Jamie and Mary too. So it's, okay, I have a few issues with the ending. Right.
Okay.
Well, one of my issues with the ending was Colin, or the Doctor, condemning Dr. Knox for creating this sort of time-travelling peep show, yeah? He's like, you know, how dare you do this for entertainment purposes? These ghastly murders, he goes. And I'm thinking, hang on, in episode 1, you was happy to pop into this time zone and shake his hand and say, hello, well done on the murders. I'm thinking, pot kettle.
Yeah, I suppose it doesn't. Well, I suppose in terms of if history was just normal, it would be okay. But no, but he's interfering with history and he's doing
and I get the objection.
It's the profiteering, isn't it?
But he's basically saying people shouldn't be able to pop back in time to observe this stuff for fun. And that's exactly what you wanted to do in episode 1, which was very, very odd. Also, I have no clue what happened to Dr. Knox at the end of the story. The virus that he's trying to find a cure for, I think he contracts it and then just runs away going, oh, God, a ghastly virus.
Oh, it's like the Master in Frontier in Space, just sort of disappears
in the
background.
It is a bit like that, yeah. But he'll be back, and I am pleased he'll be back. But the thing that I really thought was brave was the choice that the Doctor, who has a beautiful relationship with Darth Jamie at this point, takes him back to the moment a few seconds before his death, and they go, Jamie, goodbye, it's been such a wonderful adventure. And Evelyn goes, when are we? And he goes, oh, it'll be in a few seconds. I thought, please don't end the story of him going, ah! No, I thought, that's too much. And she goes, oh no. And she goes, I do understand why you did it. She goes, but I don't like it at all. And so I think it depends where you fall on the fixed point in time thing, is that should the Doctor be able to interfere and save people, or should he deliver an 18-year-old boy to his death? It's a bold ending. I don't know if I like it very much, but it is.
But it fits the Sixth Doctor.
What? Yeah, but you can't say that every time he's a cunt. Oh, well, it fits the Sixth Doctor being a cunt.
What would the reaction be if it was the Seventh Doctor story doing his
No, well, it kind of fits him as well, doesn't it? It would be if it was Peter Davison. That was when it would be shocking, you know.
Yeah. Or John Pertwee.
Mem, I've just got to go and take Jamie out the door. We'll go and see some cricket in a minute. Don't worry. Imagine. My God. I have to say, this was my favourite of the two, though.
Yeah.
It's more Doctor Who-y, I think. The first one was sort of a bit of history, a bit of possession, and then a shitty ending. Whereas this was this was literally in the gutter, wasn't it? You know, and there was lots of scenes of talking about bodies and blood and all that sort of stuff.
I've definitely enjoyed these more, and we are going into that time of Big Finish where we're out of that 50, aren't we? Where now we're going into the ones where things are starting to change a little bit. The new series is starting to come back.
Do you think then maybe you might have some surprises?
I think they're going to be surprises from now on.
Oh, I hope so. I do hope so.
But these are definite surprises, and these are more classics than I thought.
More enjoyable than I thought they would be. Both are flawed. I would definitely say they're both too long, though. Like, but the last 2 episodes of The Roof of the World,
we're going to be saying that a lot, though.
And Medicinal Purposes would be a great hour story. You could condense it, lose the whole alien planet virus bullshit, do the time travel peep show experience in an hour. But please God, bring back Leslie Phillips anytime you want.
But
He
darling,
is
he's
glorious. No. Oh, was he? Oh.
Yeah, of course. Look how old he is here 20 years ago.
Okay. Sorry, Leslie. But I have to say, I'm very pleased you did play a villain in Doctor Who. You were wonderful. What a great voice. Yeah. Let's do Mark's chronology moment.
Roof the World. Straight after Axis of Insanity. I like these ones though.
This is just getting
Well, no,
boring
but there's a
now.
nice through line in this one actually as well, because in Axis, Pera is teaching Erimem how to read Alice in Wonderland, and here they mention it and they do Lewis Carroll poems and stuff, don't they? Oh no, Edward Lear, I think this time. Anyway, whatever. They carry on talking about the reading and stuff, so it's just a nice carry on. There's no other reason for it not to. And she also mentions the Axis in this as well. So, Roof the World, nice and easy.
Let me guess, medicinal purposes is after Arrangements for
Well,
War.
I don't know. I was listing out because, yeah, we've had all this stuff with Arrangements of War because Evelyn was upset about people dying and all of this stuff. And it does seem very sort of out of character for them to have all of that resolution over this sort of arc and then they're straight back into it. But like you said, she's more understanding of it now. Because I've seen online people putting this before as part, it's this, the pirates, then the Cassie stuff. So it all starts to build up, which it could work there earlier on as well.
Yeah, I think it works better after that.
I think maybe, like you've said,
that last scene where she goes,
now,
I understand, but I don't like it.
That's what makes me think it goes after, because she's now understood. But you could listen to it as the beginning of the build-up of lots of people. You've got Jamie, Jem, Cassie, somebody else as well. Yeah,
I know. You think about her run, I mean, the ultimate thing is that she finds love with Rossiter and settles down and has a happy life. Hurrah. But the biggest lesson she's learned is, well, people die. Never mind.
So I think it's all right to go after Arrangements for War.
Okay,
I
great.
think it's fine. Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, would you care to hear some scintillating reviews?
From Duck Al-Hub.
Roof of the World, it was a bit mixed, but halfway through I wondered if I had been too harsh on the Roof of the World, since the story seemed to be progressing quite nicely, but honestly, nothing happens in the second half. As an exercise in prevarication and running on the spot, whilst filling the story with pointless character moments, those 2 episodes are second to none. Such a drama queen, honestly. That might be... Why are you looking at me like that?
Carry on.
I'm not a drama queen. That might be an ignominious reaction to this story. I don't think I even knew what ignominious meant back then. Anyway, I can't even say it now. Especially since the production itself is very strong. The performances are quite subtle and nuanced, but when the script lets you down, there can be nothing to salvage the story. I would recommend that any fan of Big Finish gives episodes 2 a listen. A touch of atmosphere and insanity in all this blandness, but otherwise there's nothing new to discover here. Inconsequential. 5 out of 10.
5. Yeah, I think a lot of people would probably agree, actually.
And medicinal purposes, I actually think I'd give it a 7 now. I gave it an 8 back in the day. Wowzers, this is a cast to die for. Baker, Staples, Phillips, Tennant, and the others attack this gorgeously verbose and colourfully worded script with vigour, and the added atmospherics lift this to an extremely pleasurable story to listen to. Pleasurable? I don't know, like bodies and things, pleasurable. Anyway, my one complaint would be that some of the scenes seem overlong. You could probably trim the fat a tad in a few places. Not me. Cutting the virus subplot, and tidying up the confused episode 3. However, Ross manages to approach this period of history in an unusual and thoroughly entertaining way, with some unpredictable moments and a fantastic role for both the Doctor and Evelyn. The atmosphere of the period bleeds from every scene. Bleeds. He's a poet, Ho. And the dialogue is like sipping rich, fruity wine. Explodes on the lips and leaves a glorious aftertaste. Oh my god. Did people really read this shit? Medicinal Purposes is not an especially popular Big Finish release, but I found it, again, very pleasing. 8 out of 10. There we go. Pleasing. You better watch out. You may be a corpse soon.
There we are. Very interesting too to do.
Well, I mean, I've got some quiz questions. Do you?
No, I didn't know we were doing a quiz.
Yeah, we always do a quiz on the main range.
Why don't you just quiz me?
Okay. I'll do it in the style of Leslie Phillips.
Okay, well, we've only got 2 questions, so it can't be that difficult.
Actually, I'm going to read them out in the style of Dr. Knox, okay?
Okay.
Oh, yes. Well, medicinal purposes. What was... Oh, no, that's not the right one. Roof of the... Fucking hell, it's to the bottom. Oh, yes. A roof of the world. What is the name of Erimem's father?
Oh, I don't know. No, I cannot tell you that.
Don't know.
No, I don't know the name of her father.
Know what her father's name
is
is?
the third? Is he something the third?
No, second.
The
my
second.
dear, second, yes. His name is Pharaoh Amenhotep the Second.
I know.
And he saw blood. When it comes to medicinal purposes,
Don't do that weird look.
what is Rupert Ross's 3? 3, might I add. 2 featuring me.
I know.
Doctor Who's story.
I know. Well, you told me earlier. So, medicinal purposes, peer pressure, and the assassin in the limelight.
Oh, you have been a naughty boy, haven't you? Get ready for your spanking. Correct! You got that one right. So that's 50%. That's not a bad average for you on these quizzes. I'm a bit sad I didn't get no
Sorry,
quizzes.
I forgot.
You could have done it in the style of Evelyn Smythe.
Well, there we
Question number 1. Imagine her doing a
are.
quiz.
Considering her childhood, Mary.
How do you say the Marian conspiracy?
Can you do a poll? Marion or Marian?
Yeah,
conspiracy,
okay. Now
please?
look, this is the problem we're having.
I love calling it the Marion conspiracy.
Now, in the story, I think they say Marian conspiracy. However, in Dylan Reese's Too Hot for TV, again, we're plugging him every left way, right and centre. He says the Marian conspiracy. Now, one of these is historically accurate.
Did you tell him about when he was talking, he said the 6th Doctor Flimp.
Flimp? The 6th Doctor and Flimp?
He said the 6th Doctor Flip and Constantine.
Excuse me, I don't think you can sit there
Sorry,
throwing
it's made me
fucking
laugh.
shade at people pronouncing things wrong. Mrs. Van Gilden.
Anyway.
Good grief. I mean, honestly, this is my partner, he's my friend, and none of them make a bit of fucking sense to me. Anyway.
Right. So I'll tell you what we're doing next.
Oh, please. Yeah.
Well-
More main range, I hope.
Get ready to jaunt into the Tomorrow People Series 3.
Now look here, can I share a few of my wish list for this one, please? Yeah. Okay. Now look, it wasn't anywhere near gay enough last season. All right. We want we want John going around with his shirt off. Okay. Because he did, didn't he? Didn't he show?
Like part 1
He
when
did.
she jaunted
She
into his
jaunted
bedroom.
into his bedroom.
You always
He's
say
standing
that.
there naked. I couldn't believe it. Excuse me. There was a whole episode with the Time Twinks. Did you watch that one?
No, I didn't.
These underage
Let us
boys
know
were being
if we
tied up. I'm not kidding you. Now, that's not the sort of gay I want, all right? Please don't mistake me.
We've got Helen Goldwood, haven't we, back, starring
Goldwood.
as
Yeah.
whoever it was.
I hope there's a Christmas episode so she can sing her song. But yes, I mean, I really like the Tomorrow People, but we had a few issues with the last series. So Nigel Fairs, I hope you're writing a few less scripts, all right? Because they were very confusing last time.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We don't know. We have never heard
No,
them.
it's
So
going to it completely. That's
Yeah.
why. Do you think that's really why I like the Judge Dreds and the Tomorrow Peoples? Because I haven't got a clue. I've got an opinion on all the other things already.
Okay,
Wow.
let's do that.
Let's go and jaunt off, shall we?
And in the meantime,
Yeah.
don't forget
To
finish
be.